to Love Shack, and today we're going to be doing a deck profile video. This is actually going to be the first deck profile video we've done in a while on the channel. We've been going through a lot of remodeling. I took some time off. We're back. New content. Pretty excited about it and trying to get back to regular uploads for you guys at least once a week on Saturdays, but I'm going to be doing a lot more in between, including some other openings that we have coming up for some older sets and other things that I haven't done videos for, at least not recently. So hopefully you guys will enjoy that. I'm definitely excited to get back into producing more content. So this has been one that's been super heavily requested. It is a Fluffal deck profile. Just a couple things to note before we jump into the video. I don't want it to be too long or anything. This has been a super requested deck profile, like I said, and I honestly think it's a deck a lot of people are sleeping on. The Fluffal support that came out in Rise of the Duelist, being Scythe, Fright for Whale, and I think it was Dolphin was the other one, have just taken this deck to an entirely different level. If unstopped, and granted, now that Called by the Grave, you know, is at 1, which essentially for a lot of decks is going to mean at 0, there's even less ways to kind of counter this, although obviously you can still, you know, hit the Ash Blossom, but it has the ability to play through so many combos, and it does so much for so little, because these cards were primarily made when there was no hard once per turn. I mean, there's a couple of cards that have that hard once per turn restriction, but for the most part, Fluffals can just go and do whatever they want, realistically. And the deck has access to True King of Calamities, it has access to Totally Awesome, and more. So, I was going to say, if you're interested in this deck, I definitely encourage you to try your own builds. I think the more people get a chance to kind of experiment with this and play with this deck, the more representation it'll see. And when we do get back to a place where there's competitive events, it wouldn't shock me to see this deck having some kind of meta relevance. I do feel pretty strongly about that. So let's go ahead and jump into the deck profile video. I will ask you guys, if you are not currently, please click that subscribe button down below. It really does help. And if you click the bell, you can be notified when new videos post. We do giveaways for every opening video that we do, so maybe you want to check those out. Stay up to date on when new openings come out. If not, at least subscribing is awesome. Definitely like the video if you enjoy the content, and let's get to it. So for the Edge Imp kind of package of the deck here, there's triple Edge Imp Chain, triple Edge Imp Scythe, and one Edge Imp Sabers. This is pretty standard, so there's not too much to go into. But Edge Imp Scythe is just a card that I take a quick look at. It's a quick effect fusion that can be used during your opponent's main phase. So if this is in your hand, you basically go boop, you can fuse something out, and primarily your target's going to be Whale. And then while it's in your grave, if a Fright for Fusion monster be destroyed, you banish it and protect that monster. So not only does it actually combo really well with Whale's Scrap Dragon effect, it does offer you the ability to protect some of your monsters and live to fight another day. Even maybe play through like a Lightning Storm or something, depending on what kind of deck you're going against. So Edge Imp Chain is just a really good card that can search either a copy of itself if it attacks, which you don't do often, but it's at least a neat option to have. And when it's sent from the hand or field to the grave, you can search a Fright for spell, which we have more access to now, especially because of Rise of the Duelist. And then the one Edge Imp Sabers, pretty straightforward. The card's recyclable, but it is still really good and just kind of offers the deck a lot. For the main Fluffal monsters, kind of the core pieces here, triple Penguin, triple Dog. Dog is a searcher, whether normal or special summon, so he's just insane. And Penguin is an extender, as well as draw power if he's used for fusion material, so he does quite a lot. Fluffal Penguin's draw effect is a hard once per turn. However, its second effect, first effect rather, which does allow you to special summon, is not a hard once per turn. So if you have multiple copies, you can, resolve that more than once. Typically, though, what you want to do with Penguin, depending on how your play goes, is I'm going to go ahead and put these all out at once here, is go into Fluffal Dolphin. So 3 Fluffal Bear. This card, I mean, if you know anything about Fluffals, doesn't really need explanation. You just discard it, set a toy vendor from the deck. And then also you can tribute it if it's on the field to add a polymerization in your grave to your hand. Again, not a frequent move you're going to see come up, but it does have its uses. That toy vendor search is primarily what you're going for. And obviously, this card cannot be Ash Blossom because it is setting a toy vendor directly to the field, not adding it from deck to hand. Dolphin is really what I think put the deck over the top in a lot of ways. This essentially, you target a toy vendor in your graveyard, set it to the field, then you send a Fluffal or Edge Imp monster from your deck to the grave. If this card itself is sent to the graveyard as fusion material, you can shuffle a fusion or polymerization spell from your graveyard or that is banished back into the deck. So this allows you to reuse Fright for Fusion, it allows you to reuse some of the other cards we'll get to, and it's a level 4 water, so it can make Bahamut Shark. Just an overall insane card for them. And for the rest of it, Fluffal Wings, probably like the glue that kind of holds all this together. I wouldn't say the best card in the deck, but it's definitely the most important. Banish it from grave, send a toy vendor on your field, draw 2 cards, then you get to search off the toy vendor. So it's an inherent plus, and just really what allows you to play through negates, because as long as you can get this in grave, even if they do, you know, ash your Fluffal dog or hit one of your other pieces, you can just kind of go off and replenish your resources. 1 sheep, this is just a good one of that allows for combos but doesn't need anything beyond that. 1 Fluffal owl, he's a good starter in some scenarios, being able to search polymerization on a normal or special summon, and then he does have the ability to fuse from field with himself. And of course, 1 Red Eyes, Bee Dragon, 1 Dark Magician. Unfortunately, don't have like the coolest versions of these. Would love to get the booster pack tin ones, which are very expensive, but that's going to be for Dragoon, which we'll get into in a minute. So that's the full monster lineup, and we are at exactly 40. Spells are really kind of shrined, honestly. Triple polymerization, this card, it's ironic that this card used to be considered terrible, but in a deck like this, like, you're always happy to see it. Polymerization is what it is. And triple patchwork, just an inherent +1, search an edge imp monster and a polymerization, protect your hand. This is searchable by edge imp chain, so the cycle just kind of goes. You can really generate insane, you know, resource replenishment with that 1 card if you happen to, you know, go toy vendor, discard chain, draw 1, and you do a whole lot. Toy vendor is a draw engine and a search just when it's sent to grave at all. There are no restrictions on this card. It is not a once per turn or anything, which is just insane. And so it's a Foolish Burial Goods target as well, which, you know, we're looking at Foolish Burial Goods as a primary. You know, this basically becomes a Rhoda because you send, you know, toy vendor to grave. You can then search any Fluffal monster you want, and then of course if you search Fluffal Dolphin with toy vendor, you can then set the toy vendor back to the field and mill. Just the amount of combos and consistency that this deck has is probably higher than almost any other deck in the format right now. And then just for the one-ofs, we've got the 1 Repair, the 1 Fright for Fusion, and the 1 Red Eyes Fusion. Drawing into this card does suck, but with Dolphin, you can shuffle it back into the deck, so if you do happen to draw into it, or even if you use it with Anaconda, you can then put it back in and you can go back to it later. Fright for Repair is just a really, really good card that is basically Banish from Grave, Special Fluffal from hand, also acts as a Monster Reborn, and then Fright for Fusion is just your Miracle Fusion for the deck. That puts you exactly 40. We're not playing any traps. Sideboard we are, which I'll get to in just a moment, in case anyone was curious about what those side deck cards are. For the extra deck, though, which just, I mean, this card is so good. Triple Fright for Cruel Whale. This card is, I don't mean to, like, I'm sure a lot of people know about it, but if this card is Fusion Summon, destroy 1 card on both players' fields. So it's a Scrap Dragon-like effect in the sense that if, you know, you target himself and then your opponent's card and you banish Scythe to protect him, he does not die. It does not have to destroy both to resolve. It's just an effect resolution. And then once per turn, quick effect, you target a fusion monster you control, send a Fright for a card from your deck or extra deck to the graveyard, then that targeted monster gains attack equal to half of its original attack. So he can boost himself, mill any of your Fright for stuff, whether that's Repair to banish and special something, or whether it's just sending you know, one of these from deck to grave to go Fright for Fusion into Sabertooth or something. You have just really, really good access. This is an insane card, and it's level 9, which is really important. Double Kraken, standard Fluffal, sends, you know, so non-destroying removal, can attack twice, changes itself to defense after it does. So overall, just the whole package. Then we get the 1 Sabertooth, the 1 Tiger. Just 2 really good cards, honestly. Red Eyes Dark Dragoon. So this card is just really good. Being a fusion, being able to be made off Anaconda is just nutty. And obviously in some rare scenarios, if you do happen to like brick draw or whatever, you can still, you know, make this hard with a polymerization, which you don't typically want to do, but the deck can mitigate those bricks by, you know, searching through extra resources. Links, again, nothing really drastic here. Cross Sheep, just a really good enabler. Anaconda's insane. Side super polys and stuff, you have all kinds of plays. And then Appaloosa. So there are boards you can pretty much end with, like Dragoon, Toad, Appaloosa, and Calamities. And for our XCs, these are pretty much here. Totally awesome. Bahamut, this is an effortless combo to pull off. And now that Toad's back at 2, you know, you probably can mess around with those numbers a little bit more. Hope Harbinger is just decent. You don't do it too often, but there are scenarios in which you know, if you have extra Krakens or that you revive a Kraken and it's negated or something. And this card, True King of all Calamities, is absolutely insane. You make this with 2 Whale. It's not hard to do at all. It doesn't really require you to do too much extra. It's just kind of an absurd card. I'm actually really surprised they didn't hit this. because now, you know, not only can this deck make it, but Orcus can make it too, and neither one of those things are good for the meta. So that's the extra deck. I wouldn't really change much there. I mean, Appaloosa's still really good. For the side deck, Triple Nibiru, the Primal Being. This card just gets better with time. It's not necessarily a main deck card, although against this deck, it's a really powerful main deck card. So just something to consider, I guess, if you're looking to side against it, or you're watching this video just curious about how Fluffals work. The Artifact, Scythe, Lancia, and Sanctum package. Now, this takes a little bit more of a slower approach with the deck, but it definitely does really well for, like, the mirror match, for example. You know, setting this, go Scythe, lock your opponent out of the extra deck, and it does put you in a really powerful spot. Obviously, against certain decks like Dogmatica and stuff, it's not going to be nearly as impactful, but the Artifact package is still really strong. Triple Infinite Impermanence, just the best hand trap in the game. Going second, you're really going to want to have access to that, and this deck can go first or second. It really doesn't matter. We don't really care what we have to do. And then triple Dark Ruler No More, just to break boards and negate, and because Forbidden Droplets is insanely expensive. So there's really no reason to spend that kind of money when this card does relatively similar things. It just doesn't really get around Utopic Zexal as much as I might like. So yeah, that is the deck profile. There's, you know, some interesting, you know, options here with Dragoon. I think it does add to it. You don't have to play Dragoon. You can kind of go a different direction. You know, you will eliminate the bricks of Dark Magician and Red Eyes, but I think overall it's worth it to have access to Dragoon in the deck. So let me know what you guys think. If you did enjoy the video, please comment down below your own changes you might make to the deck, what you like about it, what you don't. Really appreciate any feedback you can give. And as always, if you're not subscribed, hit that sub button. Seriously, you guys, like, why would you not be subscribed? It hurts my feelings. But thank you guys for watching. I'll see you next time right here at Love Shack.